One, two. All right. Hey there, REI Marketing Weekly newsletter subscribers. That is a mouthful, but thank you for joining in on this video right here. This is specifically for the REI Marketing Weekly newsletter. And today we've got for the Who's Crushing It segment, we got my good friend, Elizabeth Navarrete on the line. That's how you're supposed to say it, right?
Pretty much, yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's fine. That'll work. It's actually Navarrete, but you did it perfectly fine. I wouldn't expect it to be. It's perfect. It actually works.
I don't know if I could roll my R's that much. But I get make fun of because my wife's 100% Mexican. I'm actually not even. I'm somewhat Hispanic, but I'm more Native American than anything. So
got it. Okay, very good.
I get picked on a lot for that. Anyway, so Elizabeth, we got my good friend here on the line. She's actually one of my clients as well. So we do the content for Wholesaling Live, which is kind of her thing that she's dealing with right now. That's coming up in October. So you guys are going to be listening to this early September, October 4, 5, and 6. I am personally going to be at the event. So hopefully I'll see you guys there. If you're going to be there, it's in Houston, Texas. I'm going to give her a chance at the end here to talk about that. But for the Who's Crushing It segment, we do talk about one specific thing that whoever I have on the interview is doing in marketing, and it is working. So today on this segment, we're going to talk about something very interesting. And we were chatting about that before we jumped on here. And I'm like, man, we got to talk about that. So it's cold callers, right? So she's crushing it with cold callers in her real estate business. And also, we're going to talk about the fact that she moved from Filipino VAs to South American VAs. And one specific reason is because she's trying to hit the Hispanic communities as well and get people on the line that are able to speak Spanish and converse that way and convert the Hispanics, right? And that's a big part of it. So one thing I'll mention before I give the mic over to Elizabeth is that, the first wholesaling company that I worked for when I was 19 years old, we were doing wholesaling deals in the South Side of Chicago, which there's a pretty big Hispanic population, and all of them have cash. So they're wanting to buy these houses. And we had one guy on our team that was specifically there to take those calls. And it was insane the amount of calls we got from the Hispanics. And at that point, that was my first time in real estate. So I'm like, I just didn't think anything of it. And then the next company I went to, they didn't have anybody on their team that could speak Spanish. And it was just very interesting, the amount of people that would call, and then, we'd have to either hang up because we didn't understand them, or just there was a language barrier. So Elizabeth, I'm going to hand the mic to you. I want you to talk about this, get some value to our listeners. So talk about what you're doing in cold calling, how that's working for you, and then go into why you switched over to South American VAs.
Absolutely. Thank you, Josh, so much for inviting me, for having me on. It's such an honor to be here. So thank you so much. And thank you for the content you're providing, because this content is very important. And then as a community of real estate investors, we need to unite and share what's working, what's not working. And even though we're all from different markets, it always helps, especially if you're a virtual wholesaler trying to tap into different markets as well. So I'm in Houston, Texas. So I work across the board, all of the state of Texas. And yes, so what we did is what many years ago when we started wholesaling is that we would send mailers, and that was working very well, yellow letters. And then we switched over to the postcards, and then we did we try to amp that up. And then we just started noticing that our conversion rate was very low, started dropping little by little. We were thinking, okay, well, let's do more, because more is more, right? Mm-hmm. When it comes to this. And that just was not converting. So we had to find out and get with the times and pivot where is the effective marketing. And that's something that we always have to be cognizant of. That's why tracking your KPIs is so important, because you need to know what's converting, what's not. A lot of people say bandit signs don't work. Well, you know what? For me, bandit signs are still working, but they're strategic where I'm placing them, especially going into the whole language issue. I have ours done in Spanish. So, and we go in different areas where the concentration of the community speaks majority Spanish. And that's where we get a lot. I mean, one bandit sign within 24 hours, 48 hours, it's safe to say I generate about 25 calls. Just because the sign's in Spanish. Yeah. A lot of English signs, right? Or sometimes we try not to target those areas where it's very heavily concentrated, because, it's too many signs.
Mhm.
But yeah, so Spanish is always key. So going into the whole marketing pivoting, as far as our pivot, and when we noticed that our numbers indicated that that type of marketing as far as mailers was not working, we did the switch over to cold calling. And we did the switch. It took us a while to make the switch, and it was more like we were doing it internally. Nelson and I and a couple of people on my team, we were doing the cold calling. I will be the first one to admit that that's not my forte. I love interacting with people, but I'm
Yeah.
more in person type of communicator. So we started like that, and then we figured, well, let's get a VA to help us do that. So we went out to the Philippines, not went physically, but we reached out to people in the Philippines that were already doing this and have had a very successful rate with converting leads that way. And so we started that way, but we noticed there was a big gap. We would have a lot of our lead intake was having about maybe, let's say 30 in English, and then we had 40 or 45 callbacks in Spanish. And none of our cold callers was able to take care of them unless it was Nelson making the calls or myself. So we realized that, okay, we're missing the mark here. We're really big on doing Spanish marketing, and we're just not hitting that mark there. So we transitioned and we figured out, well, let's try South America. Let's start looking. So I get a lot of people asking me, well, where did you start getting your first cold callers? Well, in South America, the way we did is through Fiverr. And I don't want to promote anything. I don't get nothing for endorsement, but that's how we started. We started finding people like that. And then they ended up saying, you know what, I actually want to work for you exclusively. I don't want to work for other people. How can we make this work? And so we're all about creating leaders and building, obviously leaderships and entrepreneurs. So we decided to branch out and get 3 or 4 top-notch team leaders or cold callers to lead our team to help us with the onboarding process, because then it was like we were no longer having to do the cold calling, but then we were working on doing the onboarding.
Yeah.
And so we are really big now on delegating. So we found 3 really top-notch, really good cold callers and good managers on our team. And so we've created that opportunity for them to build their team out. So now we have a solid 30 cold callers overseas, all concentrated in South America. Nicaragua is one of them, some in Venezuela and different other places, Ecuador and other countries.
Wow. Okay. So one thing that I'm taking away from all of this is understanding who your audience is. This is 101 marketing, right? Or marketing 101, whichever, it doesn't matter. It's the same thing, right?
Right.
But you guys get the point. It's marketing 101. And the fact that she knows that a good portion is, and what did you say the ratio of English to Spanish callers were when you guys were putting these bandit signs out in Spanish?
I mean, when we're doing them, because we only do bandit sites in Spanish. That's the only type of sign we're doing. Yeah, we're not doing any in English.
So then, as a whole, out of all your marketing efforts, what do you think the ratio of Hispanics to English callers is?
We have about, let's say as a whole, 40% of our leads are Spanish speaking.
Wow,
that's a lot.
That is a lot. Okay, so that's my point here, is understanding who your audience is and marketing to that. So I talk about, when you're doing content, understanding who your audience is and where they're at, and that's online too. So for instance, if you're a toy company and you came out with a new line of Legos or something like that, you're not going to market to LinkedIn and Facebook. You're going to market to, Instagram or TikTok, wherever the kids are nowadays. And so you got to understand that. And that is huge. And the fact that Elizabeth and her team understands who their audience is, and then now you got to figure out how to curate that audience and convert them. That's where the true essence of marketing comes in, is understanding that side of it. Because I know a lot of people would just, kind of dismiss the fact that maybe they market in Hispanic communities and they could be missing out on a lot of deals.
Right.
So understand that, like, who is your audience? You got to figure that out, and then curate that audience is the next step, and go to where they're at. And that's what I always preach, is understanding who they are and then where you're going to find them. And then you just go from there. So I think that's a big piece of it. And that, I appreciate you sharing all of that, Elizabeth. So one last thing here before I let you go. I told you this is going to be a short call, and I want to make sure that I stick to that. But one last thing before, we'll talk about whole scaling after this, right? So 2 more things, really.
For sure.
So on the cold calling, what do you really and let me backtrack real quick. So I know a lot of people are, you're listening to this and you're trying to get, marketing tips. Just remember, I always say it, content, specifically content marketing, is everything. So the things that your cold callers are saying on the line, that is content as well. So you guys got to understand that it's still marketing. And yes, it's more defined as sales, but it's still marketing. And because those cold callers are representing Elizabeth's company, and then whatever comes out of their mouth on the phone, that's marketing as well and content. So it's brand reputation, right? So
Right.
when you have these people on the line and you're doing a cold call, I know a lot of people get scared away from cold calling because they don't want to do it.
Right.
You've obviously, you talked about it, you got this amazing system set up in your business to where you're not even onboarding them anymore. So what do you have these people say when they're on the line talking, whether it is English or Spanish people that are getting cold called?
The main thing that we tell our cold callers is hit the pain points. That is key. Pain point, pain point, pain point. The seller will share their pain points, but you have to ask the right questions. If you formulate your questions by getting their pain points out, that is the best way you can convert that call into a lead, into an appointment. Or if you're doing your offers over the phone, that will also help you generate an offer. But if you're not getting those pain points from the seller, from the distressed homeowner, it's going to be difficult for you to convert. And that's why we have such right now we're in beta mode, and so we've expanded our services not just to keeping them in-house, but we're also offering them to other investors.
Awesome.
And so far, we've done really, really well because our cold callers understand that getting the pain points is what helps to get a yes from the seller, or yes, I want an offer. Give me your number.
Yeah, absolutely. That is huge. So two big nuggets there is, number one, who's your audience, and go after them, and then hit the pain points when you have them on the line. That's again, marketing 101, but people don't do that. They just try to get on and they try all these crazy sales techniques, or they don't do any techniques at all. And they, just kind of wing it. They think they're a good people person. Then they end up staying on the phone for 10, 15, 20 minutes and then nothing comes out of it, that kind of thing. So that's extremely important. And in any marketing in general, you got to hit the pain points, right? So you're a distressed seller, you've gone through a divorce, you inherited a property after you lost a loved one. You got to hit those pain points, and obviously respectfully, right? You got to hit them respectfully, but at the same time with empathy is a big piece of that, and put yourself in their shoes and figure out how you can solve their problem, make them the hero of the story. So
absolutely. Those three, I'm sorry, Josh, those 3 points. Empathy is key, getting the pain points. And the third one, which is most important, let them do the talking. Let the seller do the talking, because if you're the one speaking more than the seller, again, that appointment is not going to happen, or that offer opportunity will not happen. So don't miss that opportunity to just sit back, listen. And like you said, that's key. Let them be the hero of the story.
Yeah. And marketing, that's important. I mean, the saying goes that, God gave you one mouth and 2 ears for a reason. So listen isn't just waiting for your turn to talk. Just make sure you listen, absorb that information. And then ultimately, again, respectfully, you can use that against them in the sale. So that's important. So Elizabeth, thank you so much for sharing all that. That's awesome stuff. I told you again that it'd be a short call. I appreciate you jumping on and sharing that. So before I let you go, give us the rundown, the 30-second elevator pitch about Wholesaling Live. This newsletter is actually going to go out tomorrow, which we're recording on the 13th, and it's the 14th that this newsletter is going out. So people got roughly 3 weeks to sign up. So tell us about it.
Yes, so Wholesaling Live, it's an event that we created for investors, by investors, any level. If you're a beginner, if you're intermediate, what we want to do is couple things, but main thing, save you time and save you money. We decided to bring in a phenomenal lineup of just heavy hitters in the industry. And not just that, one step further, we decided to bring in go-givers. Because there's one thing about being heavy hitters and another thing about being a go-giver. Well, all the people on our lineup, all of our speakers are heavy hitters and go-givers. And we wanted them to share what their business looked like, what has helped them thrive. And everyone's going to cover a pain point of ours as an investor, because we all have pain points, which is marketing, data, tracking KPIs, how to survive a recession, what to do in cyclical markets. how to have the perfect seller appointment, and so much more. So I think that it would be very beneficial, even if you've just started, if you've only done a handful of deals. This will help you save a lot of money and time, and help you scale to the next level and be part of a community of investors that want to do well in their business and are willing to share.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I'm super, super pumped to be there. I'm going to be there all 3 days. I'll actually be getting in the night before. So we'll have to get together and get dinner or something. If you're not running around with your head cut off like a chicken, But you guys show up, wholescalinglive.com. It's going to be awesome. One of the biggest reasons why, not to drag this out, but one of the biggest reasons why I'm excited about this event, I've personally been to probably over 60 events that have to do with real estate. And this one might be the first one where the entire lineup, I know most of the people that are speaking, and they're all active real estate investors. They're all actually doing stuff. And that's why I get people on the show here on these interviews, is to like people that are actually doing something in real estate. They're not just, then not just done 2 Airbnbs and then they're going to teach about that and sell a course for 10 grand. So that's one of the biggest reasons why I'm excited about this Wholesaling Live event. Even, there's a lot of influencers that are in the actual lineup. I mean, you got like Rafael Vargas and, Don Costa and guys like that are influencers, but they're actually doing active real estate investing, on a day-to-day basis. So that gives them the groundwork and the structure to be able to teach that. And I think that's, the biggest value point and the biggest sale right there is the fact that you've got actual people that are doing actual deals on a day-to-day basis. Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. With Rafael Vargas, very quickly, what he's doing now is he's doing 60 deals a month, 1 million projected profits last month, and virtual wholesaling in 9 markets. Major go-giver. Gary Harper was telling me a little bit about his background, how Rafael delivers, and how he believes from the very beginning, he always wanted to be successful, but successful he wanted to achieve a success in quality, not quantity. Who do you hear say that? You don't hear a lot of people say that. They want success, but they want all of it and so much of it, but not in quality form. And another thing with our event, pitch free. So you're not going to buy any masterminds. You're not going to buy anything out of this. You're going to go in, and what you pay is your ticket to listen to content, hear the information, and take it back to your business and apply so you can scale faster, smarter, and get your business set up right.
Yeah, guys, there's no tables at the back of the room. So don't come prepared for that, right?
We're not going to be profiling you or anything. No, so don't even take your credit card. Leave that in your room.
I like that.
In the events. Yep.
That's good. I love it. All right, Elizabeth. Well, I'm going to have to let you go here.
Absolutely.
Keep it short. So I appreciate you doing that. Again, guys, if you want to see Elizabeth, if you want to see me at the Wholesaling Live event, wholescalinglive.com, October 4th through 6th in Houston, go sign up. Yes,
promo code the REI CEO if you want 25% off your ticket price. Wholescalinglive.com. Put your promo code the REI CEO and you're in 25% off.
Look at that! Just for being a newsletter subscriber, guys, you get 25% off. So make sure you do that. Thank you for sharing that, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
All right, guys, that's going to be it. Make sure you read the rest of the newsletter. Check it out. Contact me, Josh at colormedia.com, if you have any questions. See you guys next week.
Bye.